Welcome to introductions.
Morning, y'all. Morning. Who do we have online? Do we have anyone else? Is it Janine? Hi, Janine.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Nicole, co-chair of the production group alongside Dee. We're gonna just take attendance and do attendee introductions, and then we'll get started on kind of old business from last meeting, and then moving into new business, and then also discussing some of the upcoming convenings and meetings and stuff. Do you want to do a quick introduction?
Where you been at, girl? I'm sorry, these things are recorded. Hi. I'm Dee Morales, and I am excited to be here, part of the food production group. We are moving right along. I'm ready to get started with seeing what you guys have to offer, what your programming offerings are. So that's why I'm excited today. Thanks for joining us, both of you. All three of you.
Kenny,
my name is Kenny Gill. I'm the agricultural sciences teacher at Middleton High School and a member of the food production working group here. Please.
I'm with Tara Hill. Excited to be here as well, part of the food production group, working group. Yeah, let's get started.
And I'm Georgia. I'm part of Sustainable Living Project and the working group for food production.
Hi.
I'm Tiffany Miller, Logan, my daughter. I'm just learning all that I can. I attended the conference, the Coalition of Community Garden Conference. It's usually who I'm involved with. And she was a speaker, and I was like, oh, I want to know more about this Homegrown Hillsborough, because it seems like you guys are really involved, and I have goals to open a teaching kitchen, and it seems like you're a great resource to learn from and collaborate with, and so I'm just here to learn more.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Logan.
And this Logan, I homeschool my daughter. She's 6.
Beautiful.
Welcome.
My turn.
Yeah, your turn.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Janine Grays. I'm actually a member of the Homegrown Hillsborough Economic Development Working Group, and I'm super excited to be here today because I do want to share a potential program that I think would align with some of your goals and focus areas in food production. So I'm just excited to be here and spend some time with you all.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right, Savannah, so this spreadsheet for opportunities.
That was on our last month's agenda as something that you guys were going to do. And I don't know if anyone did a spreadsheet for opportunities. So I just want to put on there to remind you that it was discussed last time. I was thinking it was for continuing education.
Oh yeah, that is what it was, I think.
Okay. I just wanted to put it on there as it was a deliverable from last meeting, so I don't know if anyone got together on that or not. If not, I can move into, so last time I had just gotten back from the cross-pollination conference, and I wanted to share a little recap. This page is on share. And so just a little bit of information to show you. It was called Cross-Pollinating Food Movements. And for the Food Systems Conference 2025, it was in Portland, Oregon. There was over 600 people there. We had 3 days of speakers, workshops, and a couple other things. There was a really great poster session. I learned about a lot of different projects around the country. And I took a lot of pictures of them so that we can all look up the projects and learn from them. I made a lot of connections, and to give you an idea, the total cost was a little over $1,200. So that is something that is within our range for continuing education funding. So just to show you, like, I went across the country for $1,200. And that was everything, hotel, flight, etc. And something that I really loved from the conference was someone said, build an irresistible vision for the future. And I really thought that kind of embodied what we're trying to do is you want to make something that everybody wants to be a part of and everyone wants to contribute to because it's just irresistible, Also, I'm really probably like putting my hand right in front of the camera. And I have some notes I'm going to put together for this. I'm going to post it on the platform. I just wanted to give my recap to all the groups first. It's a lot of pages of notes, but I included a lot of links so that you can just click on different groups, like information, and you can learn about their projects. And I included all my photos from the poster session. So it was really good. So I just wanted to report back about my continuing education.
Did you come across any projects that you'd mind sharing?
Of course. Give me my notes because I don't remember all their names.
Or maybe one that you thought was awesome.
Yeah. And you can look at like the full conference program. But there was, let me see. I thought this was interesting, the Chicago Food Shed Mapping Project. It's not done yet, so there's not like a final anything. But they made it so that they're mapping it about like crop density, so you can see what's where, but they also made it where if you zoom in all the way, you can't see exactly where people are located because they still want to protect some of their farmers and farm workers. So I just thought it was really unique the way they were doing that. And it was just like they went out and were like doing site visits, doing drone footage, stuff like that. And I just thought it was really, really neat. But there was a lot. Let me go. This one was also really interesting. It was a like group session about how these like a group of organizations got $6.1 million for Oregon's food system, and they did it through like I'm trying to think how to say it. Like they did it through like different groups. So one group was like a policy group, one group wasn't. So there's some groups that are allowed to advocate for policy and some that weren't. And they also were focused on resilience instead of recovery. So when there was, instead of trying to be like, here's funding for lost crops, it was here's funding so that you can change out your grass. So your grass doesn't die in the summer when it gets too hot now. You can't have the same type. Things like that. So just focusing more on resilience got them a lot of funding for their farmers. And yes, it resource snowballing. So they just kept like piling on, and because they had so many different organizations, it worked out really well. They also were like, kind of not petitioning, but like sending a lot of letters to their representatives, which like one group was allowed to do and the other group isn't like allowed to do it. So they worked together to like make it happen and use their networks, which I thought was pretty relevant to us, was using their networks. And then let me just scroll to some of the projects. And like some of them were really interesting, especially, like things like cross-sector partnerships. I was like, oh yes, this is exactly what we like to see. This was another food network, market and fellowship. Like none of these are like jumping. One of them was like a food hub that I thought was really, really great. This one was in Hawaii, I believe. Yeah. Like, sorry, you can zoom in more on your screen. Sorry. But yeah, there's a lot in here. And I thought this was interesting too. Yeah, so they're doing a lot of food hub building, a lot of kind of community garden type stuff with, a lot of it was not just like one focus. It was like, we're doing training, we're doing growing, we're doing like selling, things like that. So I will post these on the platform for you guys so that you can check it out. And that's what I've got here. Let me pull the other screen over so you can see. Actually, I'm just gonna stop sharing because the agenda is not that helpful right now. Yeah, and if we want to move on to our office hours, I don't know, Tiffany, were you interested in applying for a mini grant, or are you just here to check out what's going on?
Oh.
Okay. So like, we can let you go first about if you have ideas for the mini grant. I can bring up the this working group's priorities and goals as well.
Ideas as far as like my personal mission and goals.
If you're interested in applying for our like mini grant that closes in a little less than a week. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I attended the session, session. As I mentioned previously, my goal is to start a teaching kitchen. I did recently file an LLC for it about a week and a half ago, so I'm still waiting for that to come back. My background is I was a manager working for a financial institution in fraud for 18 years. And I recently left that last year just to follow my passion. Just being a homeschool mom, it just opens up my heart and my world to so many different things. So nutrition is huge. So I did study nutrition at the National University of Natural Medicine out in Oregon. It was an online program. And then I also recently got my urban agricultural certification with COCG. So I want to also go to culinary. I was accepted into a culinary program for 6 months. So I kind of want to, at first I learned what the body needs and what it doesn't need, and then how to grow it, and then how to prepare it flavorfully. So that is my goal, to kind of I don't know how it's going to work, but it's going to work. But that's my goal, to kind of put all of that together and just to form a teaching kitchen. So I'm just diving into this whole world because, finance, and my degree is in information technology, my experience is in finance, but my heart and passion is in health and wellness, and it always has been. So, I'm just trying to marry my professional experience with my passion, and ready to just walk step by step, whatever I need to do. So, I have started with my church having nutrition sessions, just to make sure that I'm putting myself out there and I'm getting I don't know if I'm talking about what I should be talking about. Okay.
No, I love it.
Oh, okay. Okay. If I'm going into a car. Okay, cool. So yeah, I started having sessions with my church, and we're going to have more because they really enjoyed. I've done 2 so far, so we are going to keep that going. But I would love to expand that into the coalition, into Homegrown, Hillsborough, with different schools, just wherever I can partner, because I think nutrition is big. I have people in my family that are going through issues, and loved ones that I know that are going through health issues. And a lot of it is because of what we're putting in our mouths. And a lot of people don't know it, and they may not have the time to learn it. And I had the time, and I've learned it, and I want to share it the best way I can. And I think hands-on, virtual, in person, I want to turn it into because teaching her, I've learned that through fun, learning is the best. So, having games, for adults, because you have to go back to a kid. You really do when you're learning something new. So I just want to dive in. But yeah, a teaching kitchen is my ultimate goal. I would love to have a brick and mortar eventually. But I'm perfectly fine with just partnering with different organizations or having a virtual space to kind of kick that off and grow it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Do you have any specific ideas of what you might be able to do with some of the grant money that we could sort of talk to you about today and see how we can help them to kind of meet our goals? Or, that's kind of what some of this time is for us to sort of talk to you, learn about you, but then also if you have any specific ideas, even if you don't, we can help you to begin to sort of work through those. So that's kind of what you have as an opportunity today.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let me get my brain. Yes.
So technically, we're helping you out.
Yeah. I was gonna say that you can take everything you
I have
learned.
everything mapped out on my laptop. I thought I was just coming to observe, but I'm ready. No, this is great. I may leave some things out, but I know that I need to, just personally, I'll start there. I need to brand myself because my experience again is in the financial institution. So I do have a website already. Well, it's called justgrowhome.com.
Okay.
But right now it's products because that's my thing. I was going to, teach about the things. And also if someone's like, well, where can I get a blender and where can I get these things that you're showing me? that I can have a website to direct them to get those things. So it's still a working process. What was I going to say? Oh, like I guess curriculum. That is part of, because I love the live interaction, because I think questions and answers are a big thing, and people understanding the why. That's what I'm big on. Like, I'm not just going to, I can tell you 50 things that you shouldn't eat, but if you don't understand why, you're most likely not going to do it. I guess curriculum is something that I would love to build, so that because I would love to have like an 8-week program, like a nutrition program running, or educational program running. So I can do live sessions, but you can also tap into this pre-recorded information and learning sessions as well.
I don't know if this helps, but so our particular group is focused, so those ideas are awesome. Our particular group is focused on producing or lowering barriers for producers like in Hillsborough County. So how can we relate that for today? How can we relate that back to how basically helping producers to grow more food or do something with that food or something like that? Does that make sense?
Yes. So another part of my mission is I would love for families to learn how to produce their own food. So that's why I wanted to, I worked on the urban agriculture certification as well, because how do you grow it? So I would love to make it like a family thing. This is how you can grow your own groceries, pretty much. Like, this is how you can do it in your backyard or in your kitchen. You can set up a little garden on the wall and have everything going, so that you don't feel like you have to have a lot of money. If you do it right, you don't have to even go to the grocery store after, a few months, if you get things going. So I guess helping families to produce their own food off of the primary things that they eat on a regular basis. So that helps to cut the cost that you are spending on food.
What about something like looking at or education on like the nutrition of locally produced food versus grocery store food?
Yeah, I was thinking, so I'm looking at our priorities up there, and I'm just like spitballing some ideas.
Same. I'm just throwing stuff out there.
So I'm wondering if you can take and I don't know if this already exists, I'm sure it does, probably in this room even, but I'm wondering if you can take what you learned within the nutrition school, as well as what you learned about production with COCG, and build a curriculum that you can then take to local producer sites and host the curriculum at different locations. I'm just trying to think of ways that you could develop a curriculum that would incorporate other producers and potentially what they're growing, right, as an opportunity to host kind of those curriculum sessions on their site based on what they're growing. And then that would also create visibility for the producer in bringing kind of those people there onto their site. I'm just wondering, I'm just kind of trying to
the cost of producers as well. So like if somebody had like a specialty, as something like that, like I think that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, like you could build a curriculum based on your knowledge around nutrition, partner with local producers to understand what they're growing or what their specialties are, and then host that 8-week session, maybe 8 sessions, right, at a different producer site, where you could then but like have those people on site. And I'm thinking maybe the costs or the funding could potentially go to, just that program development.
Yes.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Almost like a marketing strategy for the producers, because you're saying like, here's what you can do with the produce, and here's where you can purchase the produce. Supporting the farm, like you're saying, not only visibility, but also directly like bringing
people there.
Lettuce, these folks have a lot of root veg, these folks whatever, and then incorporating, because we know that the cost is more for locally produced food, so incorporating those nutrition benefits
Mhm.
of getting things
Like why they should be
Yes.
purchasing local
fresher.
rather than.
Yeah. So it's not just like eat more salads and these guys grow less.
Right, I did
But-
want to do just that.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but here's, yeah.
Every producer has like different.
Right.
They,
Yeah.
everybody has
Or-
something that they
yeah.
feel like too much of or a lot of,
Or
and then
even-
things they don't.
Just to bring awareness to certain ingredients that aren't commonly consumed. Like we grow a lot of Korean giant, like they're not daikon, but they're similar to daikon. And I can't sell them because people don't know what they are, but like what is the nutritional benefit of eating daikon
Yes.
and what are some recipes you can create using daikon. And so you're helping the producers to find a market for a product that grows well here that doesn't require lots of inputs to grow. It's like,
I would
Even
say-
radishes, like we love growing radishes because they help us with the soil. But yet on the flip side, the consumers really don't know what.
What to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, like currently my Instagram page, because my company is called Kitchen With. So I post stuff now.
I know you from, I've been sitting there trying to figure out like,
And I did your summer gardening class
yes,
as well, which was very helpful. Yes. So and I post stuff like that now, like the okra, I like put embrace the slime, and then I'm adding like why you should embrace the slime, and then beets, and then because I kind of have two pages, one is gardening, one is nutrition. I'm figuring it out, but one, I'm like, hey, visit your community gardens because these are great benefits, and this is the plant I got, and I got an eggplant from it. But the other one is my main one because the nutrition is really what it's about and understanding why. So I'm with you guys on that, like the uncommon foods that people like shy away from because they don't know about it. They actually can taste good, and you just got to know how to prepare them. So that's kind of where I'm going.
things grow really well here too.
Yeah.
They do.
Willow or the,
Even
Southeast
potato
Asian-
leaves,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sweet potato leaves, Southeast Asian vegetables.
Yeah.
Looking at, and then that also can maybe identify with some of our, like Tampa's pretty culturally diverse.
There.
So
Yeah.
it could potentially identify with some of those and find, like, I know when I first started growing, I noticed that I was having trouble with like traditional stuff. But pomelo and Southeast Asian vegetables, like Kenny was talking about, things like that, they grow really well, but nobody wants,
No.
or they don't,
I don't know.
or a few people want them, but it's not as widely, and producers just don't have the time, I think, to do the production and then be like, and here's how you use it.
Yeah.
well, not only
So,
that, but it's waste management. So a lot of the things like you want to grow pumpkins, but you can eat the leaves. I had a Nigerian woman come buy bagfuls of
oh my
pumpkin
God, right,
leaves.
yes.
And like you're saying, the sweet potato leaves too, like we feed them to the chickens, but like, could we eat them ourselves? Yeah, they're perfectly, but what do you do with them? Even as a grower, I don't know.
Like develop that curriculum.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have also in the budget, like to do a couple classes, like I'd love to host you.
Yeah.
Already, I have a presentation already.
Yeah, and I'm thinking even like, we might be able to get, there's a couple organizations that have like mobile kind of kitchen units that we might be able to either rent from them for the on-site sessions with the
That would be
funding,
great,
that you could do that on-site. I'm just trying to think of a way that you could, that,
Even like starting it off simple, like
Oh,
partner with like Feeding Tampa Bay or even WellFed. We go out there and do full demos.
yeah,
But it's not, you don't have to have a full-fledged kitchen.
Right,
So
yeah,
maybe
that's
keep
what I'm
that in
saying.
consideration. It's $2,000 and that's up for grabs. So you want to use that as something to start.
Uh-huh.
Within
Yeah,
this
yeah.
room itself, we can definitely,
Yeah, that's what I
provide you
was
with
saying.
sites to get started. If that's the avenue that you want to go with regards to Kenny's got the kids at the school, Georgia's got her, we'll go out there, play with the chickens and eat whatever it is you cook.
I would love to.
And I have
to
multiple
get
sites you
involved.
can
We
get
have
started.
really simple, like, it's just, I mean, maybe you saw, I don't know, but it's literally like a grill and a sink. But
Oh,
the
yeah,
grill has
right.
like a burner, we have pot and pans, like I do cooking stuff out there occasionally.
I think it would accomplish both goals, right? Your goals of building curriculum and nutrition education
Yes.
with the visibility and the access to the connection to the producers.
Yes.
So which of our priority areas and goals are we tying this?
I would say marketing and education, like
As
within
well as
that.
maybe some revenue streams and increasing our
Yeah.
market share.
because then we can also have those vegetables available for sale on the day of.
On the day of,
Yeah, you doing your demo.
Or plants, like what I did at the, like I sold seedlings at my, summer gardening thing. I think you're the only one that bought any. And it was so funny because I freaked out to make sure that we had enough and then like literally just you bought some, but having that in case people want to take them home as well, you know, but,
Right,
which increases production, but I think more so our goal would be to sell
right.
the produce itself. But yeah,
To
something
raise
like that could be really neat.
Yeah, because I know there's 60 plus community gardens that the coalition supports, and my personal mission was to visit all of them. So we're up to about 16 now, and I keep my list going. So I want to visit them all, and we've learned
You're so
being
inspiring.
different.
Yeah.
It
I
needs
love
to
that you
happen. I just
checklist and like.
I'm like I wasn't ready, but I'm ready. Yeah, so that's my goal because I've learned different things. Each garden kind of has their own
Mhm.
thing, like even sponges. Like I thought sponges came from the ocean. I never knew that was a plant. You had sponges,
Yeah.
and then Saw Garden had sponges, and I was like, wow, who knew that this came from the plant the whole time?
And it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, if we had a bunch of gardens doing that, like, can you imagine how many less plastic sponges we may have to use? Because even if they only last for a little while, which sometimes
One plant gives you.
you're doing so many and you need a long growing season. It's not always something that somebody can do in like Connecticut because you need like 6
Yeah.
months to do it.
And people don't know.
Yeah, people don't know that they're there or what they are.
They're so used to using this plastic, and I'm just about getting the toxins out of you and
Mhm.
using the earth.
Mhm.
Like, why are we not using the earth? Because we don't know about it.
Because we don't know.
We don't
Yeah.
know about it. So
So that's just a little bit with that. Just education. I was just trying to work back there. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I think you have a lot of information and thoughts that we've dumped on you to add into your idea to help you in your.
Oh, good. Thank you.
To help you try to figure out how to narrow it down and navigate to be able to complete your application. I'm not sure if you want to go our direction with the food production side to doing the partnering, or you want to do just the food access side, because I can see it fitting in both those buckets.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get the chance to see this.
And one of their goals is to have sport cooking classes at identified like neighborhood stores. So I think you could fit right in there. But
I gotta pick one though, right?
you can apply for both if you do a different proposal. So
Okay.
you have to do a different proposal. But also this is our first round. So
Okay.
like you can pick one this time. Next, after October 1st, we're gonna have some more open
Okay.
throughout the year. So these goals are like by October 2026, they want to do these things.
Gosh.
So it's kind of, and so you can see like the priority areas for food access are food literacy and like advocacy. So I think those are also where your stuff fits in. But I do agree that you guys tied it to food production as well, as far as your goals with like education and like marketing, revenue streams, that stuff. So it's up to you how you want to do it. So there's choices, and yeah, hopefully you don't feel too overwhelmed.
I hope it's
But
gonna
don't worry,
be
this is
easy.
not like the last chance to ever get money. There'll be chances again.
Okay.
And it'll be
Okay.
more money too.
Yeah, it's my first time applying for
Yeah.
like.
Oh, this is
thing,
exciting.
so
Thank you
I'm
for
like,
sharing.
Sure.
Thank you.
So excited to like support this.
Was it a
Awesome.
project?
Oh.
So Kenny's project. Kenny's project.
I didn't bring it.
Yeah.
I know it's in front of me.
What is a part of your presentation?
No. Thank you all for listening. I
Yeah.
really am-
Thanks so much for sharing.
I'm excited.
I'm
You know where to
excited
find me.
too.
Yes.
You have one more of my gardens to visit, and then.
It's happening. It's
Mhm.
happening.
All right.
Thank
We
you
wanna-
again.
Oh, now. Lost her. She has.
G Money, are you there?
I'm here, and I love that name, by the way. Get back on camera here.
You got it. Did you want to go ahead and present your program?
And I'm sorry, I didn't get the young lady who was just speaking. Is it Tiffany?
Yes, Tiffany Miller.
A little bit off camera. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm really excited to just hearing your story. It's so motivating, and I'm rooting for you over here. And I've got some ideas swirling in my head too. So let's definitely make sure we connect. And I think some of what I talk about today will up your alley as well. So I'm super excited to share.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just first, I want to give you guys a little bit of context on my background, where I come from, and how I got here. And I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. But been in the space of marketing, advertising, PR for 20 plus years, dating myself here. I'm currently professionally, I work for Tico or Tampa Electric for communications, on the communications and marketing side. I own a company called Cook, Pray, Slay. It's an LLC. I've been running it now for 5 years. And it started off, so we have three, I say we, it's really I do. I'm kind of a one woman show here, but we have three pillars to Cook, Pray, Slay. The first one is really how I started, which is my food blog. Started blogging and what I'm doing in my kitchen. And that's how it kind of just started. And, just doing classes, virtual cooking classes, virtual charcuterie board classes, all that stuff during COVID. We were doing all of that. When I started sharing about what I'm growing in my garden, which I have a backyard garden, I'm actually a registered farm in the county. So I am a farmer. I've got my farm number and everything. But when I started sharing what I'm growing and what I'm harvesting out of my garden and how I'm cooking it, how I'm preparing it for my family, I started getting more questions about, right? It was just my little hobby. I didn't think anybody would really care about what was in my little garden, but they did. And I started getting more and more questions, and people were intrigued about, oh my gosh, like, what are you going to do with that gigantic eggplant that you just pulled out of your garden? So then I started leaning more into that. So under the blog, I started sharing a little bit more like garden to plate. Um, I've written for Tampa Bay Parenting Magazine. I've done some online writing, food writing, started leaning more into the gardening. So I then started a podcast called Cook the Garden, where I talk about taking your harvest from wherever, your backyard or your container gardeners, and preparing those. And so it was very recipe driven. Well, then I started inviting guests to talk about how are you gardening? What are some techniques you use? I've had guests on my show, sustainability, food justice. So it has grown to where just we went from talking about recipes to really broader topics. So that's the second pillar of my company. The third pillar is consulting and education. And that's where I kind of lean more into my marketing skills, and I help other, producers, small producers market their businesses. I've also been getting into hosting events. I actually co-hosted a couple of events with Georgia at her farm, in partnership with another nonprofit. And so this is the pillar that I'm really, really leaning in on, kind of leveraging my marketing skills and my know-how. And so that's where today's idea comes from. So I talk a lot. So I wanted to give you guys that little snippet before I get into the idea. But basically what this is, I've been kind of uh, teased this idea for a while. And I was just talking to a few people within Homegrown, talked to Savannah, and she's like, you should really come and talk to the group about this. But basically, I really would love to host a one-day workshop or forum for local food producers, cottage food entrepreneurs, ag-based businesses, just to come in and equip them with tools, with the confidence, with the know-how to be able to tell their stories, and to grow their businesses online. Just because as I've been talking to other food entrepreneurs, that seems to be such a big gap, right? Like they know their business when it comes to, like food productions or selling, selling their offerings, or even just, like the work, right? But then branding always seems to like fall to the wayside, or they're struggling with it. And so I want to be able to take some of that pressure off and just create a full day where we can invite us, maybe 20, 25 people tops. I want to keep it very intimate because I do want folks to walk away with an actual plan and next steps. So basically, I've kind of crafted out what this would look like. Um, and I've branded it as the Cultivate Your Brand Forum, digital marketing for food and ag entrepreneurs. So we're really digging into digital marketing. So what does that look like? Website, social media, um, Google business profile, how to get people to find you, Google or Bing, all of that stuff that seems to give a lot of small food producers heartburn because a lot of it is, like navigating social media, these darn, algorithms. No one sees my stuff, or I feel like I'm producing and sharing and no one's seeing my stuff. And so just kind of navigating, helping food producers kind of navigate that landscape. So like I said, I kind of built out an agenda, what this would look like. Um, so I'm envisioning something that I would, obviously lead a lot of these conversations, but I would love to invite other food producers who are currently very, successful doing it. And there are quite a few. There are a few right within Homegrown Hillsborough. So I intend on inviting about three of those people to come on and do like a panel discussion where they talk about their successes, what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. We will talks about just telling your story. What does that even look like? So just highlighting your brand and really capturing at the end of the day, what is your why, but then how do you communicate that to the masses? And then how do you find your people? Um, I'll also talk about like content creation. What are the best ways to create content where you're not having to like hire someone else? Because that's another challenge of a lot of smaller food companies is that they don't have the manpower to say, okay, I'm hiring a marketing person to do this. Like marketing people are expensive. And so a lot of times that's not in the budget. So how can you do that the best you can? Using free tools or low cost tools. I'm looking at my notes here. We would also talk about choosing the right platform, right? Because you have a million social media platforms, but which one is the right one for you? Which one is the right one for your products? Because you can really become overwhelmed, right? So just figuring out, is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it Threads? Is it YouTube? Is it TikTok? So we'll talk through all of those channels. And then also, our panel discussion would obviously include other food, folks who can kind of talk about their successes. And then do how do you get found locally? Like how do people find you? There are a couple of farms and CSA companies who've actually figured out ways to really crack the code on that. So I have identified a few, and they have expressed interest in coming in and just really talking about, like some of their gems and what worked for them. And then I want to end the day by really digging through having participants walk away with a 30-day plan of how to promote their brand on whatever platform. So on that day, they're gonna decide, okay, what's the platform for me? And that they're also going to walk away with the beginning of a 30-day plan and next steps. Um, so that's kind of like the overall vision for this. Like I said, I would love to just kind of pick your brain and see if there are any areas or gaps that you would, like to talk through. And yeah, answer any questions you guys have. So I'm gonna shut up now and give the floor back to you.
That was
awesome.
amazing. So I personally sign me up. What they ever doing?
Yeah, same.
But my only concern, and it's just me because I have ADD, and it's a lot of information. However, it's a lot of things that I know for a fact that I personally need, and I'm sure a lot of the other small producers need. Like you said. However, one day, baby, I'm gonna tap out after my first cup of coffee. So I feel like maybe splitting it over like a few sessions. So maybe you break that into 8 different sessions. It could be 2-hour long sessions it doesn't have to be 8 weeks in a row. It could just be split up over a period of time for 8 sessions. I don't know. That's just my thought. So that way the information can be gained, put into play, and then come back. And then we learn the next piece to build upon. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I have another
That's
thought
a
on that
really
too,
good
maybe.
point.
Sorry. I have another thought on
Oh, no,
that
go ahead.
too. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to, rather than making it a full day of learning, that there's an opportunity to incorporate the setting up to incorporate some of the doing of of what would be a plan, maybe like picking a platform, creating a mock post, like running through the tools, more interactive, maybe.
So
I love the idea. I'm all in. I do not know anything about social. I mean, it's a gap, I think, for a lot of businesses.
as you were talking about it, what I was kind of envisioning was a merger of what they're saying is, yeah, it's a lot of time, a full day. However, if part of that time is actually setting up an Instagram account. So we all have different ways we manage and learn. But yeah, if you're doing a small presentation and then we have time to do those things, I think it breaks up the day. And when you say a day, I don't know how many hours you envision this day being, but a full day workshop could be 6 hours. It could be,
Yeah.
It could be 4,
right.
or however. So, but yeah, I love the idea. Envision
Yeah.
myself as
Thank you for that. Yeah, those are great, super great comments. And so right now with the agenda, it does run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. With time out for work. We have some dedicated time for just engaging, right? Because one thing that I've noticed, and trust me, I hear you when you're like, okay, I'm checking out after, this amount of time, because I suffer from that too. And so with this, I really want to lean away from folks feeling like they're being talked at, and I really want this to be more engaging, which is why I want to keep it a little bit smaller so we can build in time for discussions. We can build in time for actual like we're digging in, man. Like we're like what you said, like we're really digging in. We're figuring out, okay, like Instagram, that's gonna be it. Like I'm gonna focus on Instagram and I'm gonna focus on, YouTube or whatever, or and then with that plan, giving folks a chance to really like sit down and talk about that plan, and myself and whoever else will be available to answer questions and go around the room and have discussions. I learn best when I'm having true dialogue with folks and not looking at PowerPoints all day. So I'm definitely sensitive to that as well. And then, and one thing I didn't mention is that part of this would another added value would be that all of the information would be provided on like a digital platform, whether it's like a Google Drive, so folks can always go back and participants will always be able to go back forever and ever to that content. So this is kind of like a pilot. I do love your idea about breaking it up a little bit. So that's, that's a possibility too. But from this pilot, I'm really hoping to kind of build off of that, cultivate your brand um, into more like, like this is digital marketing, but then, we can even build on that series and do how do you get media coverage? Or how do you, I'm trying to think on the spot here, um, optimizing your website, or like there's so many different areas I feel like we can build on this. So yeah, but really good feedback.
I have a couple questions. Would this be, would we be paying as individuals attending? Would attendees would it be paid, or is it like a free event?
So that's a good question. That was something I was going to ask you guys, like what your take is. I know just kind of talking to a few people, going the paid route sometimes probably will folks will feel like more obligated if they've invested something towards it. If they will more than likely show up. Um, so that's another piece of it. I've kind of built this out, um, keeping the 2,000 in mind because I probably would ask for that full amount to support that. Um, if this is a paid thing, um, then that pressure of like getting that 2 grand won't be as like I got to get the 2 grand. You know what I mean? Like it would kind of offset, you know, some things. Like right now, like if it's just like a non-paid and it's just provided to participants who've registered, I got to get like every penny of that 2 grand to be able to support that because that's going to include, like some of those costs and ask me, but like some of those costs that I've anticipated would obviously be, like I would like to have a speaker honorarium, like and my speakers know, like, look, I'm not going to have this huge budget where I can speakers to come in for, but I would love to be able to at least, like give them something for their time, $75 to $100, just because these are folks who I really would, I respect the work they do. They're experts in their field. And I do feel like I would love to be able to give them something for that. So I've accounted for that. I've accounted for a venue, equipment rental, food and refreshments. I'd love to feed people. When you have a day of learning, it works up an appetite, right? So I have worked in, a budget for that. And then of course all of the marketing materials that would go into it. So like I said, if this is a paid deal, which I am leaning towards, I think it would kind of help kind of like, you know, it would give me a little bit more ease knowing that, okay, like if I don't get this 2 grand, then I'm going to have to come out of pocket to support this vision. I'm not willing to cut corners on some of these things that I do feel like will provide the ultimate experience for our attendees, if that makes sense.
I have a question for you on that. From an attendee's perspective in their investment, obviously there's an investment in the program and all of the education that they would get. I'm curious if there's outside of the material that they learn in like a Dropbox or Google Drive or something, if there's a deliverable, would it be that 30-day plan? Is that the deliverable that they would be walking away with?
That would be a portion of it.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then also just I would take that group, um, and they will then kind of become like that, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a mastermind, right? So then you would have access to not only all of the material that we go over in that class, but then also the material that I create, right? Like templates. So we're going to have templates, Canva templates, flyers, things that folks can actually take and then just pop their information in. So that's kind of like the value of that,
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, you're not just going to go to this, um, this forum and we're going to dump all this stuff on you. And it's like, bye, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So I will kind of be there to, we're going to make it to where, I'm somewhat holding your hand in that I'm not just letting you go out there and do whatever. Like you're now like in this group of folks that I'm kind of taking through this journey, and offering those value added things to help them promote their
Yeah,
business.
I think that deliverable would probably dictate what that price would be, right? Like what someone would value the registering for this event, whether it's $25 or 30 or 50 or whatever it is, putting a value on what they're going to walk home with. And the reason I say that is because, and I love the idea of having kind of an almost like a community built out of that amongst the attendees. Just in like personal experience, not within this group, but I worked with, when I was first setting up the nonprofit, I worked with a specific nonprofit lawyer who did something very similar to this, where she held kind of, it was more about resources after just that initial support. So beyond my initial, whatever I paid for her fee, I also walked away with almost like a toolkit and
Yes.
access to kind of a private Facebook group where I can have open discussion with the different people within there. And so I'm almost thinking what would really, as far as like the deliverable to someone who would pay, I think that those kinds of other elements would really be of value to people who are learning how to build their brand, where they have that like continued support beyond just that event. And I think that's kind of that long-term value, aside from just like a one pager of a 30-day plan or something.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. And I do love the idea. And that's kind of, I'm hoping to be able to create that community type feel. And you're absolutely right. I think it's going to come down to value. So I did make some notes here as you were talking, and really kind of, I will kind of like work that out to make it a little more like specific as to what, and I think you're right. And I think that will kind of translate to, if this is a paid, opportunity, just really tying it to, okay, what's really in it for them, at the end of the day, and is it worth it? Is it valuable enough to charge, X amount of dollars? I don't want to make it cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
So it will be a lower cost. I'm thinking like, gosh, $25 if, like just something I want to draw folks in, and I don't want this to be like cost prohibitive at all. I don't want it to exclude anyone at all. So just know that that's kind of my line of thinking, is that we're not trying to like, get rich either, but I do want to be able to, hold people accountable and have people, go through with it. If they say they're committed to it, let's commit to it.
And
So.
people show up when they pay money for it. And then I was going to tell you, if you're just beyond this, I do have that whole toolkit still from that other, not in this same thing, but I would be more than happy to share that with you so you can have some ideas on what you might create.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd love to see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I had two questions. So the first one is pretty just short and straightforward. Do you know what percentage of the budget the 2,000 would be? So would that be the whole budget? Is that contributing as a portion of the budget? And then my other question is tying it to food production. The speakers that you have, are they food producers and like growers in Hillsborough County, or are they like just food business food businesses? Because that would make a difference for us too, I think, is like, is it a reseller like I think Misty's Market or something like that versus like Meacham Urban Farm?
Gotcha. So I'll answer the first question first. As far as the $2,000, I budgeted out for the 2 grand.
Okay. That would be
There,
100% of the budget.
yes.
Okay, cool.
And then as far as the question with the speakers, absolutely. They will. So I have one speaker or panelist who has committed to it, and I'm actually looking for 2 other folks. But just to give you an example, Nicole, are you guys familiar with Nicole Doobie? So she's willing to come in and be a panelist to share what they're doing. I am open to other if there are any other like Hillsborough County producers, farmers. I'm open to anyone who's in the food space. Um, be able to really share their successes and that the participants would um, relatability to the participants, I'm definitely open to it. But again, they would have to show like success from a marketing standpoint, especially like from the social media world or like just digital world or like SEO, paid advertising, paid social, that type of stuff. So if there's anyone who's
I think
out
that
there
might
that
be
you
more
think would
helpful
be
if
great.
Yeah,
we were to,
like I think it's a great idea. It's not that. I'm just trying to make sure that it ties into food production versus economic development, just because that is our focus.
I think the
That's
tie
a
in
good point.
the audience that you're seeking is food producers, right?
Yeah.
So that's the tie is the
Some of it, but it
audience.
seems like it's also a broader category for, she's saying food, anybody that has a food business in Hillsborough County. So it is a broader category. So that's why I'm just trying to like narrow down if this does make sense for food producers versus like economic development.
yeah, I was thinking too on that point. Even just also like, are we thinking, and this is maybe a question for you, is are we thinking small to mid size food producers or like, I think the idea is that meeting
Producer market.
small producer. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna
Yes.
say, I think the idea is that the value to low resource, right? Like somebody that's low
You
resource.
have 1 to 2 employees.
1 to 2 employees, no time
That's
for
right.
marketing, no
Right.
time to like how to leverage those tools to build efficiency and brand, even though that's not their core job, Like I'm thinking of like Nicole, for instance, like she's got a marketing person. And so I don't know that she's doing the marketing or I don't really, I'm just trying to think of.
Okay.
Yeah, what's gonna help us get more local food produced here? So
And she's in
sometimes
Pasco,
I
too.
shy away from the term like grower just because you have chicken or meat or whatever,
Mhm.
but like focusing in on how this helps, Kenny and I sell more produce or produce more produce or, you know what I mean? Something along those
I
lines.
think it really ties into our priority as far as getting education to the producer.
I do too.
Yeah.
So I totally.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it,
Yeah.
I'm just
It's more about,
asking
like,
for clarity
content.
that, does it focus in on that, or is this more of a, like,
I think overall, this is just my understanding. You can correct me, Big G Money, if you want to. So in my head, what I'm picturing is your program in this, we're a specific audience. However, the way that you have it tailored, you can hit as many categories as you want to. You can hit those TikTok creators that are trying to get out there a little bit more, if that's where you want it to go. But you can tailor your workshops specifically for the different audiences, but your overall program can reach multiple audiences. Am I understanding that correctly?
100%. 100%. And so this model would specifically hone in on the food production audience. And Georgia, I kind of hear what you're saying too. So I mean, I'm open to if there are folks that you feel like would kind of be a little bit more relatable to the group, that's fine. I think who we're talking to here are the very small folks. So just to your point, people who may not have a marketing staff. Um, but at the same time, I don't think it hurts either hearing from those types of folks because they can give you ideas. Not that they're saying, "Oh, do it this way," knowing that, okay, like your resources are limited, right? Like you can't hire a marketing person, but here's what you can do. Here's what, like here's a strategy you can do to scale it down to where it's manageable for you and your one person or two person or three person, operation. Um, so just I, wanted to kind of mention that. But
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I had a question, but you'd already like indirectly answered it.
Cool.
But I love I'm loving this, by the way.
Thank you.
I would also suggest, Janine, in your proposal, if you're going to charge, like include what that charge is gonna be in your proposal and then what you would do with that money. Cause if you only charge $15, you're making like 300 extra dollars outside of your budget. So just
All right.
just let us know what you're thinking the charge is gonna be in your proposal.
Okay. And then let me ask you one thing. Knowing that I am an LLC, I'm not a non-for-profit. How does that, is that like a criteria for this?
No, so you can be an LLC and it's on the grant is distributed on a reimbursement basis. So you pay for it and then we pay you back.
Okay, gotcha. That's what I thought.
I just have one more suggestion in closing for you. For the $2,000, I personally would go the route of a smaller audience. Pilot it. Make 6 to 10 people be your guinea pigs. And then you can have success from those people to show to go on a wider audience to continue your model. So then you could charge $100 a person that's coming because your time is worth it. The information you provided is definitely worth it. So that's what I would do with the $2,000. I would scale it down. I'd focus on 10 to 12 producers that are actually interested and then make them your guinea pigs to get your results, get your numbers, get all of your good data so that you can then scale up your actual business.
I love it. That makes total sense. That makes total
Yeah, I
sense.
agree. I like that too, because when you think about it, like it's going to be a lot easier, or a lot easier for you to be able to measure the impact of what you taught those 6 to 8 people, over 3 months time or whatever it may be in terms of their results and learning your platform, learning your methodologies to be able to say, hey, I was able to increase engagement by XYZ, a percentage or whatever it is, then to be able to charge the $100 a pop for 20 people.
Exactly.
I do have one other question just to get, and it's not for you, but it's for just in general for Savannah. And I asked this because we had talked about this before, but when does the actual, like in Jani's case, when does the actual workshop have to be completed?
So your goal here says by March
August?
of 2026. But as far as with this grant,
That's what I'm saying. It has to be spent by.
or October 1st.
Yeah.
We might be able to work something a little
Okay.
later, like if she pays for stuff ahead of time or
Oh, yeah,
something.
yeah,
I would say November. That's my
Okay.
guess. We can check. Dahlia is the final answer on financials.
Yeah, I was just curious because I know you also had put a proposal in, and so I just wanted to get clarity around. I know our goals are for like next year or however long, in terms of the date, but the money has to be spent by a certain date due to like this grant.
What
Okay.
is that date, sorry?
So it's supposed to be before October 1st is when we need to like write checks.
Yeah, okay.
So like if you host your event in November, but you paid for it in September, like that works. And
Okay.
yeah, I was like, really, Dahlia is the expert here on that part. So she can kind of tell you what will and will not be able to like be done. But that's what when we talked about it, that seems to be the kind of range there. And with your proposal, Kenny, you
Yeah.
can pay your kid this year.
Right.
It's not next, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
But yeah, so we can finish this first.
Okay,
and then talk
okay,
about Kenny's proposal.
Do you have any other questions or anything else to add?
No, thank you for asking about the dates because I had the same question too. And I think that was
It only came up because I was asking her, was like, oh.
Okay, and I think really what Dee was saying is like perfect, as this is kind of meant to be
I know.
like proof of concept pilot type of money because it is a smaller grant. So if you can show that you can get, 10 people to show up to your thing and be successful, then once you've used like our grant, now it helps you launch your marketing to small producers as your own thing that's not part of, this grant, it's your food business. That is,
100.
you know what I mean? So that's where you can make the money, is once we give you the money to show proof of concept and then you do it and then you're like, look, all these people did this. So now, like you said, I can charge $100 for this or whatever. So I think that fits really well, and that should, in your application, the section about like, how will this continue on? And you can talk about how this is like proof of concept.
Absolutely.
So
No,
it's a
that
great-
that was gold right there. You just dropped some gold. So yeah, that makes total sense. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all of your comments and feedback. I definitely don't take it lightly at all. So I really do appreciate you guys just kind of talking me through this and brainstorming.
Oh, last thing I'll leave you
valuable.
with, so Bugs they have openings right now for presenters. So I need you to go on the Bugs website and apply to be a presenter so you can teach the producers that attend the conference. Just look into it, Bugs. I'll send it to you.
Oh,
You're
thank
accepting
you.
producers now. Go ahead.
Love it. Love
Do we
it.
wanna, does anyone else have a proposal in?
I have a couple questions on some, because
I
I
do
would like
too.
to put something in, so I have some questions, but like, can you already put them?
Kenny, do you wanna talk
Yeah.
about what your proposal is?
So, nothing super complicated. Basically, what I'm trying to do is create or help foster students that we can bring into agriculture, help them get those skills, develop workforce readiness, learning responsibility, and all those things that kids need to be able to be successful in the workforce. Currently, like right now, I have a volunteer who's been showing up to the farm on Mondays and Thursdays. Those were the set times and days that I offered. But then the student that I have showing up has been asking if he can come on other days. So he's very enthusiastic and eager and has basically taken the lead on managing our poultry operation. He's managing our garden. It's made a huge impact on me in like rebuilding sort of this appreciation for the students, because it can be challenging to engage students and encourage them to want to do this work. And in the case of like this student, and looking to the future and how do I get kids to take it seriously like he is, I think a lot of that can be financially motivated. So I would like to create sort of this pilot where I can see if we fund a student to work 1 day a week during the school year over the first semester, and then over winter break, maybe come in 2 days or something like that, or work 2 hours, and basically just give them some money for their efforts. They can earn volunteer hours, but a lot of the students don't necessarily need volunteer hours. They earn them through other opportunities. But I've also had students who would like to join the labor force, but because they're 15, they can't get jobs. And farm work can be done by anybody, 14, 15, 13, doesn't matter. And just growing up in my generation was like, oh, you go rake someone's leaves, or you wash a car, or you mow the grass, and you can earn a little bit of money. So those opportunities aren't, I mean, there's still some there, but I feel like it's a little less common now for kids. And trying to, like this kid that has been volunteering with us, Hart, I believe, stopped the student free bus vouchers So he's been paying $2 every day to come to school to work. I'm like, he's not only volunteering, but he's paying to come do this. And then the other thing is a lot of our students don't have transportation. So even if they are 16 and they can get jobs, they don't have reliable transportation to get somewhere. And that can be the difference between having, money to pay for their, a lot of kids, they don't go on the grad bash, for example. It's like a trip that the senior kids take. And like if they could work on the farm for a semester and that would pay for their grad bash ticket or something like that, I think it would be really nice.
That's a good incentive, yeah.
And then also, not only does it incentivize those kids to do that job, it also, I think, will motivate the other kids because we have to be selective about who you want. Kids who are willing to learn and want to learn to do this, and other kids see like, oh, if I work hard this year and I pay attention and I do what I'm supposed to, I can be a candidate to work on the farm next summer or next semester or something like that. So it might help motivate more kids.
I love it.
And it's a question about, but is this, so it's $300 for 2 students.
So I was kind of like flexible and I just kind of wanted to put some detail there, but it's not in stone. I was thinking like, I'd like to pay a kid, I mean, what's Florida minimum wage, like $13 or I forget now, it might be close, but like just to give them something that reflects what they could earn somewhere else in the area. Like I'm not trying to pay a kid like $5 an hour slave wages, you know? So, but if I can,
Sorry, go ahead.
if I can have 1 student, great. If I can get 2, even better. It's all just sort of dependent on who is interested in it. But I wanted to have the opportunity. Maybe it's nice sometimes if the kids are working together. It's a little less monotonous to have someone else there you're working with, or one wants to say work on a Tuesday and the other one wants to do Thursdays or something, so they can kind of have someone there.
And is it during the winter break? Is it 2 hours a day or 2 hours a week?
So,
thought that through?
Yes, it really depends, I guess, on what needs done at the farm. But I try to have, anytime we have breaks, we do, we split the week. That way someone is checking on animals at 2 different occasions.
Okay.
Love it.
It's not a super complicated proposal.
No.
It's pretty straightforward, but
I thought it was.
I mean, you could look up half the details and I'd have been like, heck yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'll add also that, like we're talking about going forward with a program like this. I think my vision is that the farm can ultimately sustain itself. We talk about sustainability, and it's not so much environmental sustainability, it is, but also economic sustainability. So having that person there to help, like last year, we were so late in getting certain things planted. We missed a whole harvest window because it just didn't get planted. So having someone to help can help the farm generate more money, and which could then sustain paying the student in the future, probably.
Yeah. Perfect. I love that.
You guys have to hours afterward.
I have something to share with you too that I just learned from another org, actually up further north, about a curriculum, school-based curriculum, and some of the successes that came out of that was that those students then took on more of a leadership role the following year in being the teacher on behalf of the newer students, right? And really kind of taking that into that leadership role and like creating this pipeline of students that allowed for her program to get funding, a lot more funding, because that now all the supplies and everything was a part of the curriculum. Right.
So and that's sort of what I was envisioning when I say, like, not only are you motivating those 1 to 2 students, but then you have other students who are like, hey, I want to be in that position next semester or next year. But they work together, it's like learn from each other. So it's like now you've got let's say paid employee and you've got an apprentice who's coming behind. But yeah, I like that. through high school agriculture education, there's what are called SAE, supervised agriculture experiences. And one of those is school-based enterprise. And that's sort of the model we are working with. It's just every year getting a new group of students and sort of training them to understand how it's intended to be run. So it's not my school-based business, it's their project, and I'm the consultant and the advisor.
Yeah.
So it's hard when the students, because we don't have a feeder middle school, so they're learning a lot of the basic things, planting, when to plant what, and how to plant, and all of those things that they might already know coming from a school that has a feeder ag program.
Yeah.
But just we do a lot of the education on what to plant when and how to plant it, and so by second semester usually it's a little more autonomous. But in the beginning, I have to kind of be a little more hands-on with them and how they run it.
I love it.
Are you familiar with Dale?
What is Dale? Who is Dale?
Dale Roderick?
Doesn't sound
That
familiar.
sounds familiar to me.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, I was just asking. He's another person that,
You apply for something similar.
Okay.
Yeah, where was that one? Where was the school? Where was that one at?
I don't know if they included it in that.
he did. It's called
I was actually wondering that if that was.
We can-
Caminetti Exceptional Center.
Oh, yeah. I think it's called, well, I don't know the pronunciation. It's
Yeah.
Panini or something like
Okay.
that, but
And that ends up in Hillsborough.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's
I'm here to answer any questions
Yeah.
about his application.
like a student with,
Okay.
Do you not have access to the application?
So just the co-chairs are gonna like pre-score them, and then in the August meeting, the top ones will come to the rest of everyone.
Gotcha.
So they have to sit
Sorry,
through
I
all of
was-
them. You guys just get the top scores.
I was trying to cheat and get like
Yeah.
all the information at the same time.
And like, we don't have very many applications, right? We have 2 or 3, I think, for food.
Three,
production.
including Kenny.
Sorry.
So I
So
wanted,
3, including
yeah,
Kenny.
I wanted to share a little bit of, I had an idea to put in a proposal on the checkout library system on a resource tool sharing. I've done some research, although I haven't put anything in yet because I wanted to get everyone's perspective, because you'd be the ones sharing tools, right? And so there's a couple, originally I had reached out to Monica to see if Homegrown Hillsborough's mobilized platform had the capability to have a library type catalog built into it. Mobilize, the way that Homegrown Hillsborough's using it is not, or the way that Homegrown Hillsborough's using it is not totally to its full potential. There's all these other kind of plugins that they can buy and all that other stuff. I think there is some kind of feature around like inventory, but there's no way in that platform to kind of check out, right? Someone to check out someone else's stuff or like purchase. It wouldn't be exchanging money, but like, the exchange of product. And so there are a couple other example organizations out there in other areas, one in like Maine, another one in Washington or something. There's like 2 or 3 that I've done some research on, and they use more of an open source platform. And it's kind of similar to where you would fill out almost what looks like, it's not a Google Doc or a Google form, but it looks like a Google form where you would fill out your name, your inventory of what you want to share, your address, things like that, how long you want to have it checked out for. And then based on the input is kind of how that catalog shows up, almost like in an open source platform. There's also other ones that are more like library type, more traditional looking, where you just kind of create a login, you add it in and everything. My point saying is that, the point I'm trying to make is, there's obviously a cost. The first part of that, the first one, the open source one, will probably be more costly over the long term, because you'll have to continue to like develop that and also integrate it into, like, if I hosted it on my site under like a different page, I could do that. But it is not necessarily a one-time. Like, there is a one-time fee. It's like a subscription in terms of like the cost of maintaining that, right? We could also look at leveraging somebody else's tool, like the one up in, I think it's Maine, I'll pull it up, and seeing if they would be able to kind of outsource or kind of share that licensing with us, and then we pay that, but still there's a maintenance fee. And so I just wanted to share kind of what I've learned about the different types of platforms that are out there. The idea behind it, which I know is our idea of limit or decreasing kind of costs associated with it, both growing and maintaining, but also not having to purchase kind of that equipment. But the other part of that, and some of the like barriers I've come across, are around like, let's say you borrow something from Georgia and it breaks, right? Like, who covers the cost of that? Do you replace something like that? So there's all these different types of agreements we would have to, or elements of an agreement we would have to come up with. And I would love to have the input of the group if I were to develop something like that. So I just wanted to share some of what I've learned in going through some other examples of resource sharing tools out there. But really for me, the idea, or like overall, I would love to be able to have that up as like a pilot of a resource sharing, right? And measure like, okay, over time, right? Not putting it on you all, but in terms of the time it would take me, being able to measure kind of a circular type economy or resource sharing and what that does within Hillsborough County, as well as engagement numbers. And then from there, being able to kind of build on that. So in doing that, in terms of what I would want to achieve for like those numbers, not numbers, but like impact, creating impact across that, would probably better be suited in the open source platform, because you could build on it and add more features. You could add more like types of resource sharing rather than just like equipment or tools. So I just wanted to share some of that info with you. I haven't put anything in yet because I really want to nail down the actual costs associated, and I'm just kind of digging into that. But that is one that I hope to be able to put in before the first. Just want to let everyone know if you have any questions or anything. Yeah.
Because the Coalition of Community Gardens is such a thing, and this tool would benefit not just community gardens, but also growers.
100%.
Reach out to them about their platform.
Mm-hmm.
They should house.
That's what I'm
this
saying.
And cover that expense, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm that's what I'm trying to figure out is, one, I wanted to see if it could be hosted on Mobilize, and if there was a capability first, right? Because that would be awesome because everyone's on there already. The network's already there. Right. But it just doesn't have the functionality that we would need it to. But if there is another platform like Coalition of Community Gardens that has that capability within whatever. Yeah. Well, that's what the issue I'm running into is trying to figure out where to leverage. I don't want to build something on a new platform that there's no network associated with it, because then all that time is taken in, okay, now sign up for this other platform. When there's already Homegrown Hillsborough, there's already Coalition of Community Gardens, there's all these other networks that we have access to. So ideally, I would love to kind of incorporate it into one of the ones that are already existing. And then what the cost would be the cost of that development. But then having the ability to then goes into the whole conversation of, okay, well, who owns this? Who's going to maintain it? Who's going to build it? So those are just, thank you for sharing. I don't know what platform they use but I'll reach out to them. Yeah.
With this, instead of trying to find like a platform to do checkouts and stuff, I think it might be smart to do proof of concept with like a Google Sheet. And maybe before they get to the Google Sheet, they have to sign up that says like, I agree if I break something that like, if it's in my possession, I have to pay for it, or however you want to do. So like, they have to agree to something before they're allowed to sign it out. But then maybe just what like the money would go toward is your time collecting, who it belongs to, where it's at, like where it goes. And then there just has to be rules for the spreadsheet. It's like certain things are locked, like the owner, like, and the name of the tool. But then there's like, columns that say who has it on this date and when it's supposed to be returned. And so it would be part of like, when you check it out, you have to edit the Google Sheet and you have to connect with whoever owns it, something like that. So I think Google Sheets, like,
Point of
instead of,
contact.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way to start is with a Google Sheet. And if it becomes unmanageable or it becomes so large and so successful, hopefully you get a more intense program that costs money or whatever. But I think that's probably like the easiest way to start. It's so really what you need to more so focus on is like the details of what are the rules, how do we do it, and like, and then you can, maybe the coalition on their website has a link, like, here's our tool sharing
Yeah.
like thing, it has the rules or whatever, then they have to, you know, go through that. And then also on Mobilize, we can have a link to it or however else.
Yeah.
So then it can be hosted on different places, but it lives
Yeah, that
on.
was the idea, that it would be able to be accessible on anyone's site, right?
Exactly. So,
Like anyone can have it hosted, it's open, right? I don't want to own, like, I don't want to like hoard or
Right.
own like the resource. I want to just have it available, and also for us to be able to measure. Like it's a participating in that resource sharing type. It's just like shared healthcare insurance, right? Where people have these pools of, and so just figuring out how to navigate that. But I'll look into that and I'll figure out what it would cost in terms of timing and stuff to set it up. And we can go from there. But I also wanted to mention too, with that, USF's foundation is also, I shared this idea with the foundation about providing funds toward additional funds toward what would then come out of the pilot program. And they have also have interest in funding more of official. So that's one of the reasons why I was also looking at, okay, well, does Mobilize have the capability, stuff like that. So anyway, I'm trying to figure it out and just wanted to share with you all what I've learned so far. But that's a great idea, just starting very simple.
Can
we
I
tend
say
to
something?
complicate things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the Google Sheet as well, because kind of what you guys suggested for me with the proof of concept, but how powerful would that be to kind of take that time to really kind of like that'll be your research, right? Because like you can go through all of those like hiccups and unintended consequences that you didn't think about. And before you invest in like developing that solution, you would have already worked through some of those hiccups, because development is expensive. That
yeah.
would be the bulk of your cost right there. So to have the Google Sheet and kind of like that be your proof of concept there and work through all of those kinks before you get to that development phase is going to be like absolute just
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, valuable.
Thanks for getting me down to like basics, because I tend to overcomplicate things and look 10
Y'all
years
do.
out and be like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna maintain it? But you're right, it can be done through Google Sheet. So I'll work on it. I'll put a proposal in.
So you spend time also tracking who has what.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to figure out is,
And the monetary value and some of the things, you know, because that I think was part of it was, yeah, the resource is worth $1,000 in total value. So figuring out what the tools are, who has it, how much it's worth, like what, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of background to be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Before it even makes sense.
And that also was my other question, which I had posed before about when that needs to be sent. So thank you for clarifying. And then Georgie, you said you had another idea for a.
Well, Savannah basically presented my idea, which was the spreadsheet
Oh.
to do the tool library.
Oh,
I was gonna ask, like, are we still interested in that, and would that be a viable thing for me to put in for? But
Do it together.
I was gonna say we could
You're
do
the
it
word,
together if you want
Yeah.
to. And then I had a couple more thoughts that I guess I just wanted to see if there was something that was more interesting, if one of them was more interesting or not. So one was similar to like Kenny's. So we have interns during the semester. They are adults, so they're college students. They have additional cost a lot of times, and so we don't have the capacity to pay them. And so looking at doing a stipend or doing a stipend for hours spent beyond their 120 hours, because I have noticed that some of them are able to do that and some of them aren't because they're working. And just like Kenny said, it gets when we have like double hurricanes and we're really late on planting, all kinds of different things like that. It would just help me tremendously to have some kind of offset to help have more help in doing what we're already doing. So that one's pretty simple. It's either just, offering, I don't think there's enough in this pilot program to offer like a stipend since we usually have multiple interns, but offering, above that 120 hours for the semester, if there's something that I can offer them.
So stay on.
Yeah, to stay on to sort of offset whether they need to, so a lot of times
Work or come to the farm.
Yeah, to offset work versus come to the farm or, things along those lines. Because I have noticed that, it makes a huge difference in being able to split their time. And also like it makes a difference in their health, the quality of what we're doing, all of those things. If they're not stressed doing full-time scheduling plus work, plus an internship. And it might also allow them to come in a little earlier since sometimes they do come in like their last semester, things like that. So that is something I'm interested in. And then a lot of times they do, they stick around or, they're all looking for, a lot of them right now are contacting me, having a hard time finding work. So I've noticed that as well, that they are getting a lot of contacts from previous interns, even from more than a year ago that are like, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can I put you down as a reference? So I just think that is a way of helping them out. And then something else I was interested in is we talked about refrigeration and sort of like a hub situation. And we have the room to do that at SLP, but I need a few things. So it would be more like a community refrigeration hub that would allow if you needed to store stuff because you're really close by, you're fairly close by, at least your home is. So we would need to purchase a refrigerator and then also some batteries for the solar. Yeah,
What's the cost of the refrigerator?
So it would kind of depend on how big we want to go and looking at that. Some of them, if we wanted to pilot it with something smaller, that we could do that. And then the batteries we have are partially funded. So we had an issue where we were given a grant. The grantor did not just give me that money in time. And I had a deal on some refurbished batteries that are no longer available because they were 3 months late in writing the check. So it's really frustrating because they're refurbished batteries, they're deep cycle, there's not a lot of ways to get more of them. It was sort of a one-time thing. So it would also just help us out in a lot of ways of being able to increase production, as well as this year we're providing produce and eggs for Meacham. So it would allow me to harvest more often and hold that harvest in a better way, as well as provide a refrigeration unit for other individuals and organizations if they were. And then also if you guys had stuff that you wanted to sell to Meacham, you guys could set it up and one of us takes the whole lot down, something like that. So it kind of gives us that hub thing. So I'm interested in both of those options. But
what's the cost of the solar battery right now?
The solar batteries, there's a lot of different options. So what I would probably see is based on the cost of refrigeration, which would probably be close to that full $2,000 for something large enough. And then if there's any leftover cost, it would maybe go towards batteries since we do have that partially funded, and seeing just to help offset that a little bit, because now we are looking at some different options or having to get more.
What would a new battery cost right now to support the panels? I can't talk today.
There's a bunch of different. That's the hard part, right? Is that there's so many different options, both new and refurbished. For example, I can get a bunch of solar batteries, which is kind of where I'm leaning towards, because as they die the way that they're set up,
if I have a series of 4 batteries, let's say, and one starts to go bad, it starts to make the other 3 batteries also decline in their quality. Not just like short term, but long term. So something that I'm kind of looking at is like Kenny and I discussed some batteries, they're like $850 a pop.
Right.
But they're larger.
But they're larger and they last a long time. The thing is, again, if those start to go down, replacing one of them is much more of a financial burden than if I got some refurbished golf cart batteries.
Oh, well, okay, boat batteries, yeah.
Yeah, so things like that. So that's why it's a little hard for me to give like a complete answer. There's a lot of different options, and that's where I think I would probably be looking at like how can we make this work the best based on what we have. So we do have $1,000 available already. And then
For the batteries? Or
for batteries.
Okay.
And so then being able to like use that to offset would just help to also narrow down some of those options, if that makes sense.
For a refrigerator, what are the refrigerator, like 2,000?
It depends. Some of them can be like 2,000 brand new. And yeah, I think it would just kind of depend, but looking to see what is, we would probably go for something somewhat used to try to get like the best bang for the buck. So that's where it's a little hard to say like, it would cost this, but we could have like a
budget.
Yeah, a budget. I mean, obviously we'd be working within that $2,000 budget and figuring that out. And so, I do have a refrigerator that somebody donated to us, but it's like a side by side, so it does not hold produce as nicely as, you know what I mean? There is one that I really like, and I think it was $1,000, and it's a single door. I have one of them, and it actually changes from freezer to refrigeration. I had to buy it when my freezer went out. I had a chest freezer that was like as old as me, and it went out, and thankfully, like we caught it early, all those things. But anyways, I was looking at it and I was like, this is really kind of, it's nice, it's convenient. I think it'd be easy to put like a lock on it if we needed to, which could be like a combination lock. So anybody could access it if they have a combination and things like that. But it's nice and wide and deep. So it would allow, so let's say that, it would allow for more separation for the different organizations or things along those lines, right? So root veg on the bottom or, like this is the 813 Gardens shelf. And things like that, but then also allowing for if the 3 of us want to take something down to Meacham, or if you're interested in buying stuff, but you don't want to run around to all 3 gardens, then we could like coordinate something and say, okay, so by Friday, Kenny will have radishes, you're going to have herbs, and I'll have lettuce for you to do your thing. So those are kind of my 2 ideas. I think they both would benefit us a ton. And so,
We'll be looking forward to seeing your application come in.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess some of my questions are, which one would be more?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Your refrigerator might fit better under economic development.
Okay.
As far as a retail outlet that wants to pilot a hyper-local supply chain, that might fit right into that.
That is helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one more question.
Even the CRA.
In there, well, only one out of the 5 has to be.
Might be in the CRA, but I don't think so.
I think that's okay. It's like only 1 out of 5, and they also, their priority areas are infrastructure. So really,
what other, I went to Kenny and I attended the food access group as well. And one of the things that they were really interested was that neighborhood store. So I don't know if you guys are familiar, but getting local produce into a neighborhood store. They've identified one.
Really?
Yeah. And
Buddy and Danny's in Sulphur Springs.
Oh, awesome.
I drove by the other day, and so it would also allow us to having refrigeration or an extra intern, either way, would really allow us to sort of harvest more often and store those crops. So right now when I harvest, it's like on specific days where I can take those things, make sure I'm taking them home, and I've got room, and it's just a lot of my personal in there. And so having something like that would be like just very, very helpful. But it would also like that could be something again to store for. So I didn't know if we could
for like that
cross grant.
That's what happened with mine. So they were saying like pick one.
Yeah. So
it fits best.
Yeah, pick one, but you can apply to multiple. They just have to be different proposals. So you could apply.
Same program, different proposals?
Yeah.
So it could be the same program, but funding different parts of it?
Yes, different
Okay.
parts. Yeah, so it's like you can't just be copy and paste standing and be like, and here's how it relates to economic development, here's how it relates to food production.
So,
Sorry,
question about
Katie.
that, to get clarification on that, because I have, different applications, so it's for different locations for the food access group, but I just wanted to find out, because one is at this site, one is at another site, so it's the same program, but at different places. Is that acceptable or no?
I'm not sure. So it's a different, but it all comes from like you.
Yeah,
Like it's not like this school wants this and this school wants this.
well, it's me doing the program at this school and at one community center, so it's pretty much.
I feel like it's gonna be hard to score if the scores are gonna be exactly the same. If this is the exact same proposal, you know what I mean? So then
Okay,
I don't know how we pick between the two.
okay,
We can talk more
Mhm.
maybe later on the day about
Okay.
it, because I'm not quite sure about that.
okay.
But yes, you can submit multiple, just they have to be different. So
Okay.
and you submit to multiple things.
Hey, Savannah,
Yes.
quick question. Going back to Georgia's, did you mention, because I kind of I couldn't hear very clearly. Did you recommend her also submit to the economic development?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
refrigerator
Okay,
one,
good.
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, because I was going to say there's like a lot of alignment with our
Exactly.
goals for that one too. So, okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, advocate for your working group.
Yep.
I also wanted to ask you guys a question. With regard to our messaging on the policy stuff, I'm having a conversation with, okay, so just FYI, I work with a company called Conduit Government Relations. They're not based here, but they work here in the market. And they're basically a policy advisor. Like all they do all day long is read through policy, read through legislation, follow the hearings, all the other things. He has a program that he's building a curriculum, and he's looking for a policy curriculum basically to teach at the hyper local level on local policy. We work with him I work with him on some PASCO stuff. And I mentioned to him that we have the mini grant available and that our priority areas were, because we had discussed as a group, land use policy and farm labor policy specifically. And so I asked if that would be something that he has or intends to include in this curriculum. And he said yes, but he wants to have a conversation with me about it tomorrow. So him and I have a meeting tomorrow around at 9 to talk about it. I don't know a lot about the curriculum, but I know it's also would be a pilot program. It's not something that's in existence. But I wanted to know from you all specifically on how what I might need to ask him or what I could tell him that you want to know specifics about, because he might be able, I'm thinking if he has this broad curriculum and he wants to pilot it here in Hillsborough, what specifically do we, beyond just, land use, are there specific questions that I can share with him around what he might focus on if he were to run a curriculum?
I would also suggest maybe something about, I hear people talk about greenbelt exemption all the time, and oh, I'm going to get a goat so I don't have to pay property taxes. And it's I don't think that's how that policy works.
Well, we're thinking specific to producers.
Right.
Helping
So
producers
how does greenbelt work, and how can you avoid having to pay property taxes or
Homestead exemptions and things of that nature.
Okay.
Also, we talked about the cottage law. We talked about, what was the other one? The eggs.
Am I even allowed to sell produce, or what regulations surround?
Hold on, I'm writing all these down because I want to make sure I share with him so that if he does put something in, it's relevant.
Contains this.
For what people need to
I have a
know.
question regarding.
Specific to Hillsborough or City of Tampa or both, like Hillsborough versus City of Tampa limits.
So I
Or let's not say City of Tampa, but let's say
what else?
Why not?
Because there's Temple Terrace is its own
No.
incorporated.
The law.
That's why I said both.
Right, so
One versus, oh, Temple Terrace.
Plant City is its own local government.
Yeah.
City, municipality versus county.
Right, maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how you can word it. Because what are there, 7 incorporated cities within?
And this is basically like a informative, like I want to tell him, hey, here's what we need.
Yeah.
If you can do this, submit a proposal. I don't want to say like, hey, put this together. I want to make sure that I find out if this is what he can do first before and it's around what we need. So I have Greenbelt policy, homestead exemption, cottage law, city versus county law.
And then maybe like, I keep going back to the chicken one because it's the one that's the most relevant to me, I think. But,
Okay, say it again.
so limited poultry license is what it's called from the Florida Department of Ag. So like I've talked to Travis before about some of the things. You have to have a 3-compartment sink.
Okay.
But like I've also gone places and they're like discount this, so maybe even providing clarity or
Loophole.
case studies or examples,
Yeah.
whatever it would be called of like
Hashtag
these
loopholes.
essentially, right, like helping us so that maybe those applications are not so intimidating. Because that's like I have a 2-compartment sink, I don't have a 3-compartment sink. Things like that. So also refrigeration, really quick. I don't have refrigeration, so technically like I cannot get a limited poultry license.
So like requirements around.
Yeah.
And just dumbing down those applications. Some of the
Right, so
applications
helping
are
people to
so
like,
real.
that's something that like, yeah, like Travis and I have had these conversations about how do we make not me and Travis, but this guy helping all of us to figure out.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to make sure that he stays focused.
Yeah.
Mainly, and isn't just giving us a history lesson on policy.
Yeah,
Right. Like I don't want to. I love history. Right. But I want to make sure it's like relevant to food production in Hillsborough County or city.
Especially if it's like a quick and
municipality.
dirty pilot, like I think I would say, I guess some guidelines would be like making sure that it's Hillsborough County specific.
What I suggested to him in terms of like a format was to just do a workshop to do like a 2-hour workshop with navigating some of the county and city policies. And that workshop might include walking through some of those applications, right? Or like navigating some of the specific policies, right? Like
maybe deliverables, like identify two either applications or certifications or whatever.
I wanted just to give him suggestions on what to focus on, and rather than him just not kind of having an idea.
Here's a question about that. So this guy is with Conduit, which is a national company, correct?
He's kind of an advisor. He used to be with the
Okay, so so I'm just trying to figure out how much money he already has access to come borrow our little come look for our little $2,000 when we already have enough people within our network itself that are already participating in our network that are fighting for the $2,000. Does he really need it?
I don't know. I just it was a connection.
I think it's I see what you're saying. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree too. I want to make sure it stays local, but I also he's not a national company. He's a startup. It's just him and a partner. He used to work at the in federal government, and went out and started his own kind of advisory firm. But you're right. I don't know what money he has access to. I don't know what he does. I just know that he's been really valuable to some of the questions I've asked around in Pasco County. I'm trying to navigate agricultural law, things like that. So I don't, and I also know he works in this area. He has family, and he's down here a lot. He has family here in the county.
You have a platform?
I don't know.
Okay, so here's my other thing, and I'm gonna leave it alone. Y'all know me, I'm sorry.
Well, we need to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So my other thing is, we wouldn't mind him putting together a presentation, putting together something for us as a group so that we can learn this information, helping us build our tool that's out. He doesn't have to apply for a mini grant for that.
Yeah,
That's just.
that's a,
Yeah, that's true.
that's a good idea too. We
So-
could just provide him access with the network to do a
To
session.
do the thing that we need for our
And he
thing.
can charge per session.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
a
we
good point.
really do have to move on.
Sorry.
We have 5 minutes left and we have to get through the rest of the agenda. Which is not very much, it's not much. But I just wanna make sure we get through it, and then I think I ran through the room for another 15 minutes, you guys can continue the conversation. But we do not have time to go through, anything on the platform. But I do wanna draw your attention to August 6th at Shuffle. We are having the leadership convening, that is for all our voting members. And it's just gonna be like an hour-long check-in. We're gonna have we kind of wanna check in with you all, see how things are going with our working groups, or get some feedback from you. Maybe this, but it's on the platform in the private working group, and then there's also right after, so this convening is 3:30 to 4:30, and then right after we're having a network-wide social, so you'll be welcome to come to the network-wide social at 4:30. And also on our online platform, I'm not sure if you're on the platform, Tiffany, but we'll get you on there. And so I just wanna make sure you guys know the convening is mandatory. If you can't make it, you have to, please let us know, and you'll have to connect with your co-chairs, and they'll have to go through everything that you missed, because we do need there have, like I said, some feedback we need from you all. And then we need to do our meeting evaluation real quick. Yeah, it's still not gonna load, that's okay. So quickly we'll go through 1 through 5, if you remember how to do this. Participation, did everyone participate? Nicole, how was your attendance?
5.
5.
Great, okay, did we achieve what we wanted to achieve?
4.
I say 5.
4.
All right.
5.
5.
All right, and listening, are people mindful, focused?
5.
5.
5.
5.
Great, and did we stick to our agenda and use our time wisely?
I'm gonna say 5 because I thought we used it wisely and then we didn't go.
I thought it was wiser too, so 5.
Yeah, 5.
And 5.
You convinced me. Fine.
If you have any additional comments,
We wisely left out things about this.
Otherwise,
That's
thank
true.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And our
Serena.
next meeting will be here again, on August 28th, same time, and we'll be scoring the, groups will also be getting a report back from CAFISH, which is the Center for Advancement of Food Security and Community Health, maybe? It's the USF group, but they have been doing the academic side of Homegrown Hillsborough. And so he'll be giving a report out from the phase 2 report. So I just want to let you guys know that's what's going on. And then yes, okay, I will stop recording and